Hi guys, it's Leah. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new, and welcome to a 24-hour readathon. Every single month with my patrons, we do a 24-hour readathon where we can see how much we can read in 24 hours, and I film them for YouTube and they are always just so much fun. Today's one is slightly different, however, because we are going to be seeing how much of my fall or my autumn TBR I can get through. I am incredibly excited because there are so many books that I've been wanting to read for the past couple of weeks, and this is just the perfect excuse to do so. So I'm intrigued to see how much we read, what I end up reading. Hopefully we rate them quite highly. But all of that is to say, as tradition, my patrons every single month do pick what book I start my readathon with. So I'm gonna go on Patreon and I'm gonna see what won the poll. Before I find out what actually is won, let's go through all of the books that were on the poll. So first and foremost, we had The Doll's Alphabet by Camilla Gordova. This is a short story collection that I have purposely been waiting to read in autumn because it's in the likes of Angela Carter and Margaret Atwood, and that super intrigues me. I will say that no matter what wins this poll, all of these books actually are on my radar for this readathon. So we have The Doll's Alphabet, and then we also have The Vet's Daughter by Barbara Combs. This one is a tiny novella that, again, I've been wanting to read for a really long time but purposefully wanted to wait for autumn. I've been wanting to read something by Barbara Combs for years. I've always heard that she's an author who is incredibly gothic, who is a master at writing gothic fiction, and that really intrigues me again, so we have that one. In a very different note, we also have People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. I do love mixing things up in a 24-hour readathon, and I love reading multiple genres, especially a fun romance. This one too obviously is extremely autumnal in the cover, but also the sprayed edges, so I'm hoping that we can get to this one at some point during the next 24 hours. And then we have two more that I don't own physically yet because they are both proofs. First and foremost, we have The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. This one is one of my most anticipated reads of the entire year. I love Alex E. Harrow's writing style so much, and I've been really craving reading a full-length novel from her. The Everlasting 2 is a medieval fantasy. I believe it's a lady knight, and I love this little subgenre of fantasy that is going on currently, so I'm really hoping, and I feel like this is the one that is going to win, I'm not going to lie. And then lastly, the second book that I have on my Kindle, which is another proof, is To Cage a Wild Bird, and this one is from Breakfast. I've heard so many people and so many of my friends have already read it and have absolutely loved it. I'm pretty sure that this is actually a dystopian, which again really intrigues me because the 2014 dystopian era, oh my god, I miss it so much. So yeah, those are all of the books that were on the poll, and like I said, I have a feeling The Everlasting is gonna win. I know that it was ahead of the polls a couple of days ago, so okay, yeah, it is still ahead of the polls. I am so excited to read this book. Here are the results of the poll. I'm really, oh my god, I'm so excited for this readathon. I've been craving just sitting down and reading for 24 hours. Really hopeful that we can get through some good books. Hopefully we rate them highly, and let's see how much we read in 24 hours. Oh my god, literally at like the prologue of The Everlasting, and there's a quote from my favorite poet ever, Rainer Maria Rilke. Is this a good sign that I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna like, it's gonna become a favorite? Oh my god, I'm excited. Hi guys, I'm just popping in to take a minute to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Wild. I've been a huge lover of Wild for the past couple of years. I've been using them non-stop for the past couple of years, so it's such a pleasure to be able to work with them. If you've never heard about Wild before, they are absolutely my favorite deodorant brand. They are completely powered by plants, they are vegan and cruelty-free. As somebody who also tries to be as sustainable as possible, Wild are perfect for that. They have saved over 612 tons of single-use plastic. Not only that, but Wild products also do not include any aluminium salts, parabens, or harsh chemicals. To celebrate the Christmas period too, they have come out with a Christmas collection with the cutest bow case I have ever seen, alongside some limited Christmas scents. So first and foremost, we have Santa's Cookies, Vanilla Butterscotch, and Berry Christmas. They are so incredibly easy and perfect to refill in the aluminium cases. So let me just briefly show you how easy it is. Slip the bottom off and then take one of the refillable scents. We're gonna go for Vanilla Butterscotch. Push it down like so, and it will be attached. Pop the lid back on, open it up, and then twist the bottom, and there you have your amazing, perfect smelling deodorant. And I'm so pleased to say that if you use my code PAGES25, you can get 25% off of your own order. I will say though that you should definitely hurry because this offer is only until the 1st of December, and after the 1st of December, my code will be for 20% off. This is the highest discount that Wild have had all year, and like I said, I would highly recommend checking them out. They would be perfect Christmas gifts for you or for a loved loved one. You can also scan the QR code that is on screen now, or check out the link in my description to use my code. I love Wild so much, and I have done for the past couple of years, so a big thanks to Wild for partnering with me on this video. And now let's get back to all of the books. Hi guys, we're about an hour and 20 minutes into the readathon, and I have been reading a little bit of The Everlasting. I always kick off these readathons on live reading sprints with my Patreon, and I'm not gonna lie, today was definitely more of a yappier one than a reading one, but it was so nice. I always love talking to them on a live show, so I have read a little bit more, but nowhere near as much as I normally would in an hour and a half. I can't see exactly what page I'm on, but I'm 7% of the way through, and it's saying I've got 4 hours and 35 minutes left, and I am already loving this. I kind of knew that I would, and I was really hoping that it would be the case where I would fall in love with it. I'm really hoping that this is a 5-star read for me, and I'm definitely seeing potential. However, The Everlasting is actually a new novel based on a short story that she has already published, and that was The 6 Deaths of the Saint. I want to say I read that 3 years ago, and I loved it so much. It was, and I'm fairly certain is, still on Kindle Unlimited, and I loved the story so much. I think I rated it really highly. I think it was maybe like a 4.5-star read, and I always wished it was a longer novel, and I never expected it to become a full-on thing, but now it is, and it is definitely one of my most anticipated books of the entire year, so I'm hoping that I fall in love with it. Her writing style is just so beautiful and so phenomenal. Now though, I am actually about to head out to a cafe and meet one of my best friends who is going to read with me at the cafe, but I'm not going to read more of The Everlasting there. I might once I have finished this other book. Let me grab it. Oh wait, it's not even here, it's on my desk, never mind. It is The Apple and the Dark by Clarice Lispector. We know I love Clarice Lispector so much, and I am buddy reading all of her books with one of my best friends, and guys, we've literally got about 50 pages left of this book. We've been wanting to finish it all week, however we knew we wanted to read the last 55 pages. I think we've got left actually together, so I'm gonna bring Clarice to the cafe. I love Clarice Lispector so much. I'm sure that you're probably bored of hearing me say that, but I could talk about her genuinely forever. She's my favorite author. Her writing style is just the best writing that I've ever read in my entire life. I'm very excited, so I'm gonna head out now. I'm gonna go to a cafe and meet Mayla there. We're gonna finish this. I am gonna bring my Kindle just to read a little bit more of The Everlasting on the way, and probably on the way back, but I cannot wait. I love going to a cafe always, especially in a 24-hour readathon, so I'll bring you guys along with me, and yeah, let's see how much I read other than Clarice. I'm excited to finish this. We are now back from the cafe, and we did in fact finish. Mayla's here also, by the way. I didn't say that earlier, as you would have seen. But we did finish The Apple in the Dark. We're currently about like 5 hours into the readathon, and I'm not gonna lie, I really haven't read all that much, but because we did finish The Apple in the Dark, I feel a little bit more successful. But because we had finished it, and obviously Mayla's now here, Daisy is also coming over tonight. She's on her way. She's on her way, but I'm gonna make a curry after, even though it's quite late at this point, after we've done an update. But I thought we could talk about our thoughts.
I hate man.
I thought you were gonna say you hate the book. I was like, that's not what you told me.
Yeah. I lie like he lied in this.
This book is essentially man
discovers other people, and man discovers women, and that women have thoughts. But also he lies a lot. But also and he believes in God.
He does believe in God, or is he God? But also in a way that like it's not. But not in the sense that because he's a man and it's the perspective of a man and he's quite insufferable at times, it's still really good. And I think the way that she writes about man is interesting.
But she said it herself that she thinks it's her best work.
Yeah, which really intrigues me. And actually, is that spoiler? It's not spoilers. At the end of this book, there's a little like excerpt from her son.
That was very interesting.
I would say it's up there with one of her best, but for me, not a 5-star. As you can see, there were so many quotes that I loved and I tagged and I also annotated, and there were like, it was brilliant for so many reasons, and it's one of those ones that I kind of want to do a deep dive on Reddit after reading it, because I feel like there's so many theories, but it's not a favourite for me.
You don't get answers.
You don't get answers.
But I wouldn't be able to rank her work. Like for me, they exist within the same sphere but cannot be ranked.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I loved it. Oh, all I can tell you is I didn't like Chandelier. I don't know, Besieged City, Wild Heart.
I get that for you. I do see that for you. Wild Heart is always my number one. But I get that in the sense of rating it. They're all so similar, but they're all so different. They all feel like they can exist in the same realm, but they're so unique from one another.
100%. They all have pieces of Clarissa's soul.
But yes, I think I'm going to rate it a 4.75, very close to being a 5, and in no way am I saying that this is a bad book. Like,
well, 4.75 is...
No, but I know, but there are so many books that I rated 4.75 and I'm like, okay, but...
They were under.
Yeah, but I feel like the way that I rank a Clarice as a 4.5
it's an entirely different rating.
It is, it's 100%. So different. So for me, a 4.75, but I'm very happy, I'm always happy to read a Clarice. And now we're on to like the really popular, but the shorter works, which is good, but sad. What, did you say what you're rating it?
The same.
A 4.75?
Yeah.
Okay.
Branded to a 5 on Goodreads.
I agree.
4.90 if we're being very precise.
Those were our thoughts on The Apple in the Dark. We're going to read for the rest of the night. We're probably going to yap a lot, and this is where I end up getting no reading done, but I'm determined to at least finish The Everlasting. I hope tonight. I'm going to make a curry, and then, yeah, see you in a little bit. Hi guys, there's been quite the jump in time. The girls were here, Daisy arrived, and we had such a lovely time. I obviously made a curry, we sat down, and honest to God, all we kind of did was yap. This happens every single 24-hour readathon where we get so excited to read, but because we no longer live with each other, we always have so much to say and so much to catch each other up on that we end up just talking for so long as opposed to reading. However, I did get a little bit more of The Everlasting read. I'm not gonna lie, I really wanted to finish this tonight. However, it's currently 10 to 12, 10 to midnight, so that's not really gonna happen. I'm still really not that far through. I'm 17% of the way through, and it's saying I've got 4 hours and 23 minutes left of the book. I really need to lock in. I always feel like I put so much pressure on myself when it comes down to 24-hour readathons. I think because when I used to do them like a few years ago, I would lock in and I would read about 5 books in 24 hours, which is crazy, and I know that for some people that's light work. However, for me, when I do them with my patrons and I do them with the girls, there is so much yapping involved as opposed to reading, but that is part of the fun. I'm really not putting that much pressure on myself and having to read a certain number of books. I'm doing it for enjoyment. I love doing it with people too. I love the community aspect of it, so there's no pressure here. However, I would at least love to finish The Everlasting. Obviously, I also finished Clarice, but I had about 55 pages, so that's not a book I read entirely in the readathon, which is fine. I'm gonna read as much of The Everlasting as I possibly can tonight. Hopefully, I will get quite a chunk of the way through and then finish it tomorrow morning, and then hopefully read like one more other book. That is my goal. Some might see that as incredibly ambitious. I'm probably gonna see that as incredibly ambitious the second that I wake up tomorrow morning, but I'm really excited and I just love filming these so much. They are always so much fun. I love getting creative with them, so I'm having a good time, even though I'm not trying to put pressure on myself. I must say, I am loving this book so much, and I feel like I'm gonna fall in love with her writing. I did say this earlier, how much I'm enjoying her writing, but truly, there's something so special about it. I think especially when it comes down to the yearning in her characters, I feel like the romance subplot of this book is gonna cure everything wrong in my life right now. I wanna tell you guys a little bit of what the synopsis is and what the book is actually about. However, I just read the synopsis on Goodreads, and I feel like I can't do anywhere near as good of a job, obviously, as this can. It sounds so interesting when it's worded like this, so I'm gonna read it to you. It says that this is a genre-defying quest about the lady knight whose legend built a nation, and the cowardly historian sent back through time to make sure she plays her part, even if it breaks his heart. I can't. Her story takes him to war, to the archives, and then into the past itself. Anna and Owen are tangled together in time, bound to retell the same story over and over again, no matter what it costs. But that story always ends the same way. If they want to rewrite Anna's legend, if they want to tell a different story, they'll have to rewrite history mystery itself. Guys, I feel like I'm gonna fall in love with this book. I am so excited to carry on reading it. Despite the fact that it may seem like I'm reading it quite slowly, even though I'm doing a 24-hour readathon, I'm really enjoying every second, and I feel like I just want to soak it up in the same breath because I'm hopeful that I'm gonna enjoy it. Hopefully I'll read it a little bit quicker as we carry on going into it. But yeah, I wanted to mention what it was about because it just sounds so good, and so far it is incredibly good. So I'm gonna carry on reading. I think I'm actually gonna move to bed now, so probably won't update you until tomorrow morning, but yeah, I'm gonna hopefully read as much as I can, and I will speak to you in the morning. Currently 11:30 in the morning, and we have 2 hours and 40 minutes left of the readathon. This readathon I feel like has gone so quick. Obviously I haven't read that much for this readathon, however The Everlasting, it was a book that I really wanted to take my time with. Obviously I still read it within that 24-hour period, so it was incredibly bingeable, but I wanted to savor it as much as I possibly could. This book was so good. I think it's a fantasy book that is so unique in so many places. I feel like it's quite a breath of fresh air in the fantasy space, and it was just so brilliant and so beautifully written. Obviously last night I told you the synopsis, but there is so much more that goes into it. I think the narrative style of this book genuinely is masterful. Throughout the entire novel we get two perspectives of both of the love interests. However, when they are addressing one another in their respective POVs, it is in second person. I do really love books in second person. I feel like there aren't too many out there. I feel like it's always such a really brilliant narrative choice, especially in a fantasy book. I don't think I've ever seen it done in a fantasy, and Alex E. Harrow just did it in a way that was actually jaw-dropping. Obviously, like I mentioned last night too, the yearning between these characters, oh my god. I feel like I've also said a handful of times recently that I'm loving books, especially fantasies, that really go into I will find you in every lifetime and I will love you in every lifetime, and this again is another perfect example of that. I really don't know what to rate it. I feel like I'm kind of stuck between a 4.75. I don't quite feel like it's a 5. I do feel like it's a book that on reflection, if I don't stop thinking about it, I will likely up it to a 5, but right now I'm gonna say a 4.75. Even when it came down to the atmosphere and the world building, it was so mystical and it was so medieval, but it was so realistic and it was so vivid. I could perfectly picture every single scene, and it was just so beautiful. Like, Alex E. Harrow's writing style, I know I adore. For a while now I've been craving a full-length novel from her, and I hope to god that we get 101 more because she's just such an incredible writer. And yeah, I loved The Everlasting. Definitely lived up to my expectations for it. Now obviously we have like 2.5 hours left of the readathon. Is that enough time to get a second book in? I have absolutely no idea. I do feel a little bit sad. No, sad probably isn't the right word. I really do wish that I read a little bit more yesterday. However, yesterday was a really good day, and I love talking to my patrons so much, and I love spending time with the girls, and I just enjoy reading, so I'm not really mad that I didn't read that much. I just wish I read a little bit more because I really want to get through as much of my autumn TBR as I can before autumn is over. To be specific, we have 2 hours and 34 minutes left, so I think the next book that I might read is The Vet's Daughter by Barbara Combs. I say this because it is the shortest one out of every other book that I wanted to read for the next 24 hours. It is, how many pages? Oh my god, it's less than 200 pages. It is 159 pages, and I do feel like that is doable in the next 2.5 hours. Like, especially if I lock in, I should be able to do that. I did say at the beginning of this vlog how I've been so excited to read a book from this author for literal years, and I just don't know why I haven't, because she's meant to be an incredible gothic, kind of modern classic author, I suppose. I really don't know anything about this book, and I don't really want to even read the blurb. I'm going to go into it incredibly blind, but I'm hopeful that I'm going to love it and I'm going to fall in love with her writing style. It would be really good, obviously, because I finished Clarice. I didn't read it in its entirety, obviously. That one was a 4.75, The Everlasting a 4.75. Imagine this was a 4.75 or even a 5. That would be insane. So I'm gonna start this. Hopefully, I'm determined. I'm gonna finish it before the end of the readathon at least. Let's see how much I get read. I'm 24 pages of the way through the Vet's Daughter, and I'm not gonna lie, there is no way that I am finishing this before the readathon is over. This book is short enough that I definitely could have read it in 2.5 hours. I think we have about an hour left of the readathon, and I just don't have the attention span this morning. I don't really know why, because it's an incredibly gloomy day. It's meant to rain all day, and there is nothing better than cozying up with a gothic book on a rainy day, but I'm just not in the mood for this. I think it's likely coming down to the writing style, and obviously off the back of reading The Everlasting, this is so incredibly different. Like, this could not be more different at all. This book is quite domesticated. We are set in London, and it's got that traditional sort of classic writing where not a lot is happening at all. It's definitely going to be quite character driven, but because the plot is feeling very slow and currently nothing is happening other than we're just talking about family and family drama, and I feel like this is very much going to be a gothic family drama. I kind of need an attention span for that, even though it is a short book, so I'm not really in the mood to read this, and I think that's why I haven't really picked up this morning. I've been distracted with so many different things. I definitely won't be finishing it. I'm accepting that this readathon in terms of quantity is not my best, but quality has been pretty good, so I'm not complaining. I'm very happy with the books that I've read so far, but it is objectively really good writing, so hopefully I do like it more as I read. Hi guys, I realised that I never actually outroed this video and did a roundup of all of the books that I read, so I'm here to do that now. See, for this readathon, I started with The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow, and I ended up falling in love with that book. I did, in the end, rate it 5 stars. I know there was a brief period where I was considering rating it a 4.75, but just on reflection, I could not get this book out of my head, and it was so good. I'm really loving medieval fantasies this year, especially those with lady knights, and this was just so good. Oh my god, the tension was just so palpable, the yearning unmatched. The writing too. We know I love Alex E. Harrow's writing, and this was definitely the best book that I've read from her yet. I'm so excited to see what she does next, especially if it's in this sort of tone. So of course I rated that 5 stars, as you would have already seen, and then I went on to The Apple in the Dark by Clarice Lispector. Obviously I did not read this in its entirety in the readathon. I read the last, I want to say 50 pages, and I loved it so much. Now that I have finished this one, I only now have 4 books to read from her left for the first time, which is insane. I'm expecting to love all of them, of course. And this was quite different to all of the other Clarice books that I've read from her so far as well. It was obviously a buddy read with Mela. I buddy read all of Clarice's books with Mela now, so you also would have got her opinions on it. I'm very happy that I did finish it in the readathon and that I documented me finishing it. I want to document as much as I can in finishing Clarice's backlist. I think, again, because I only have 4 books left from her and she's of course my favourite writer of all time, I'm very mindful of the fact that I very rarely kind of include her in my vlogs. If that is something that you would like to see more of, if you'd like for me to include more Clarice Lispector reading in my reading vlogs or just my weekly vlogs in general, then please let me know, because I would love to, especially with only 4 left. So we did finish The Apple in the Dark, and I of course rated that one a 4.75. And then lastly, I did in fact finish The Vet's Daughter by Barbara Combs. I want to say that I actually finished it half an hour after the readathon ended, but I'm gonna count it anyway. Unfortunately, this was just a little bit of a miss for me. I didn't like it anywhere near as much as I did. It was absolutely so gothic in places, and I really liked it for that, but I wish there was more in terms of the gothicness. I feel like the terror of this was quite quiet. More so than anything, it just spoke about the lurking disquiet of a domestic life, especially being a woman, and kind of the perspective of that from a young girl. It was an incredibly interesting read, and I definitely do want to read some more Barbara Combs, but unfortunately this one just didn't do it for me, and in the end I rated this a 2.5. And I'm also kind of sad that I didn't end up loving this. However, I do have another book from her on my physical TBR, so I will get to that at some point, and we will just hope and pray that I end up liking that one more than this one. But yeah guys, those were all of the books that I of course read in this 24-hour readathon. I love doing 24-hour readathons so much, and I'm so excited to be doing a festive one fairly soon. As always, if you've read any of the books that I also read in this video, please let me know what you thought about them, whether you like them or you dislike them, if they are on your TBR, or if you watch until the very end of this video, comment a sword emoji for The Everlasting. Of course too, don't forget to check out Wild at the very top of my description, or you can scan the QR code on screen, where there you can use my code PAGES25 to get 25% off of your own order. I will reiterate again that 25% is only until December 1st. After December 1st, the code will revert back to 20% off, but like I said, I love Wild so much, so a massive thank you to them again for partnering with me on this video. And yeah guys, if this is your first video you are watching from me and you did enjoy, it would mean the absolute world if you stuck around. Bookmas is just around the corner. I am so excited for you to see all of the videos that I have coming in December. I will be posting every other day leading up to Christmas. It's one of my favorite times of the year, period, but especially when it does come down to content, so I literally cannot wait. So it would mean the world if you stuck around for that. But yeah guys, guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and for spending some time with me today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again very, very soon with another video.